With a new mission statement in hand, we are now also starting to change our practices, and this is a key. And the purpose of this podcast is to give people a sense for what it feels like to run a hedge fund. And I think this is absolutely key. A new mission statement is going to change our practices and have impact on our returns. I want to discuss this, use a few examples, and explain how our new mission statement will affect our operations on a day-to-day basis. This is the Not Even Wrong podcast. It's December 11th, 2020. This is Krim Delco. For the day, the fund is down 20%. The market's down about 0.5%. For the year, we're up 350%. The market is up about 12.5%. We're outperforming by 337.5%. If you put $100 in Orange Capital Partners on January 1st, 2020, you would have $450 today and about $112.5 if you did the same thing with the S&P 500. Yesterday, we repositioned our portfolio, and I'm sorry, by the way, the market is still open, so this could change. It's a Friday, and the market is still open, so this is an update during market hours. We have changed our purpose, our mission statement. The purpose of Orange Capital Partners is to generate wealth by investing in fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices with large impact. This is the new mission statement. Generate wealth by investing in fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices with large impact. We've changed it from investing in disruptive technologies because we want more precision. We also don't like the word disruption. It's a bit of a marketing reason also. This disruption has a bad rap because it's being used by many people for many things. We don't want to be put in that basket. I think we do have a lot of respect for the word. We've discussed at length in this podcast series how disruption was derived in The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen. The basis of our innovation stack, the basis of our principle stack that includes Innovation Stack 0 to 1, Innovator's Dilemma, and the Beginning of Infinity. The basis of all these principles, the basis of the axioms that we build our whole operations day-to-day basis on is on disruption, but we just don't want to use the word anymore. And I think more precision allows us also to be more concise and efficient in executing against our mission. So the purpose of Orange Capital Partners is to generate wealth by investing in fundamentally new concepts and engineering methods with large impact. The idea here is borrowed from Thomas Kuhn's The Structure of Scientific Revolutions. He's explaining paradigm shifts, and the explanation of a paradigm shift is the application of new concepts and research methods in science. We believe, and this is something that we've discussed in the past, coming from the Beginning of Infinity, that there is really no fundamental difference between science, politics, business, investing, that it's all one big epistemological problem, which is how do we generate knowledge and use that knowledge for progress. We define progress as a place that is better than the place that you had before. And that place for us includes the generation of wealth, which we define as the currency of wealth is freedom. So we're really fundamentally generating more freedom for ourselves and our investors. And that is a good thing. That is progress that gives us more discretion in doing things that we consider good. So back to our principle statement and what it actually means for the day-to-day operation. So because we have more precision now, new concepts, fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices is a pretty clear statement. So if you have a company that does these kinds of things, it is on our radar. If you have a company that doesn't, it's not on our radar. And let me give you a few examples of companies that we invested in and companies that we did not invest in. And I'm going to try to calibrate our mission statement against those examples. So a company that we invested in, our largest position actually, is Tesla. And Tesla, in our view, is generating wealth by applying fundamentally new concepts and engineering methods to a particular market with large impact. In the case of Tesla, it's the energy market. It's not the car market, by the way, it's the energy market. Tesla is in the business of decarbonizing energy and achieving that with new concepts and engineering methods. They had to develop a new battery, a battery management system, and a drivetrain. They had to develop a charging network. They also had to design a great car. They are now in the business of deploying solar power and connecting the vision of applying solar power, applying photons to the transportation industry, and also using batteries for utility storage, and therefore enabling faster and more efficient application of solar power at utility scale. So this is a good example that fits in pretty precisely into our mission statement. A company that we did not invest in is DoorDash. DoorDash just went public at a huge valuation. We believe that DoorDash is, in certain areas, using fundamentally new concepts and engineering methods, but in many areas isn't. The new stuff at DoorDash is that you have a software that is allowing you to order from a local pizzeria. Now, actually, let me rephrase that. Here are some of the things that typical investors would say are new about DoorDash, and that's why it's a disruptive technology. You can order online to have food delivered home. You can have a local restaurant put themselves on a marketing platform that DoorDash provides so they can market themselves a little bit better. You can have, well, let's say that's probably more or less it. You can have a little bit of a better inventory management. Oh, you can increase your scale as a restaurant because now you're not confined just to the seating area, and you can use your kitchen as a dark kitchen. Those are sort of the fundamental ideas. Now, if you go further, you could also argue in the future everything's going to be dark kitchens. Dark kitchen being kitchens that are just there for food, and we will just order through delivery. ARK investors spoken about this a while ago. They said that we could have the same transformation that we had 100 years ago when everybody had their own gardens to supermarkets, and now we're just not going to have kitchens anymore, and it's all going to be dark kitchens and food delivery. Now, here's what's our criticism here is that actually none of these things is new. Particularly, I mean, the dark kitchen thing maybe has some newness to it, but none of the other things is new. You could order way before the internet stuff to be home delivered. Actually, I lived in New York in the 90s. You could have your sandwich delivered from the deli. Delivery is nothing new. You can have online order. You could have that a long time ago. So what DoorDash is doing here is not applying fundamentally new concepts and engineering methods to markets. It is what Clayton Christensen calls a sustaining innovation. So they're improving certain things. Of course, it's better to order online than to call your local deli. They are making things a little bit more efficient, faster, and they're giving restaurants a little bit of a better platform, because that's another thing that is a myth. It's not new that you have now this ability to market yourself locally. Of course, you had that in the past, your local newspaper, your local billboard in the coffee shop. You had ways to market yourself locally to customers. Now, this is a little bit more efficient, it's a little bit better, etc. So what, in our view, what really drives the DoorDash valuation is what we call predatory business, which is DoorDash has a lot of capital and is pushing everybody out of business, becoming the only delivery platform, and therefore probably is going to be able to eke out a certain profit by raising prices. And this is the key problem that we have. And it's not part of our mission statement, and we thought about this very thoroughly, because the key to fundamentally new concepts and engineering methods in the end is that they lower the prices and increase quality and service. This is the absolute key. Without that, none of that stuff is useful. We don't need new concepts and engineering methods if we don't have better prices and better quality at the same time. That's the actual aim of the whole exercise. So it applies to DoorDash as much as to Uber and Airbnb and a lot of these companies that we're not very happy with that went public recently, which is they are in our view, predatory businesses disguised as disruptors and being priced as disruptors when in fact they're not. They're not giving you something better for lower price. The only reason Uber was better priced for a while is because they were subsidized. But the fundamental concepts and engineering methods underlying the company are not lowering the price and increasing the quality. They are just changing certain things. They're moving the taxi from hailing it on the street to the app, which is fine. That's good. I don't mind. But it's not this 10x improvement with a 10x lower price. The reason they can't lower the price, of course, is because the labor cost is by far the highest cost, and then the hardware cost is the other. So the two big costs that Uber has, that Airbnb have, that DoorDash has, both of those costs are still not under their control. DoorDash is not controlling the kitchen and the cooking and the labor of the cooking. DoorDash is simply, it's a bit like kayak and the airline industry. So what we see with DoorDash and Uber and Airbnb, they can become something like kayak, which is okay. It's a decent business, but certainly not a disruptor in the form of Amazon or Tesla or Square. Because, and this leads us to a very important conclusion about our mission. If we want to invest in wealth generation through fundamentally new concepts and engineering methods, we have to be vertically integrated. We have to control all the big pieces of the value chain. Now, of course, this is way too complicated and detailed to put it in a mission statement. That's why we omitted it. But here is now a little bit a further description of our mission statement with a little bit more content. So we are investing in wealth generation that applies fundamentally new concepts and engineering methods by vertically integrating into a value chain and lowering the cost and increasing quality at all the critical parts of the value chain. This is the end goal. That's how you can have a large impact on the market. Otherwise, you just have an impact on the market. You're changing the market dynamics. You're getting market share. You're generating wealth for employees and investors, but you're not really doing much. Uber, Airbnb, they're generating wealth, particularly for SoftBank, which is, of course, one of the biggest problems we have with this whole situation, that we have this big gorilla, SoftBank, who's throwing money at sprays and prays like crazy in Silicon Valley, and then gets lucky here and there with market dynamics and whatnot, but really doesn't change the underlying fundamental market dynamics of the business, nor do they change the underlying experience of the customers. Because in the end, we're still going to pay the same kind of money for food, we're going to pay the same money for transport, and we're going to pay the same money for, like in the case of Airbnb, it's the same. I still have to pay even more probably for lodging. Yes, it's a little different. Yes, I can stay in downtown Berlin instead of maybe not in. It really doesn't make a difference, and it's very, very complicated and very convoluted. And the value added here, in my view, is at best the same, if not even negative, relative to what we had before. So my conclusion here is that our new mission statement is very precise, more precise than the one we had before. The reason we choose this precision is to be able to apply our principle stack more precisely to our investment process, and hopefully through time get better explanations for investments and therefore deliver better returns. This is the ultimate goal. Wealth generation is predicated on high returns, and the high returns are predicated on an application of a principle stack that is, first of all, hopefully the right principle stack. This remains to be seen. For now, we think this is the best principle stack we can have. But more importantly, for us as operators, we have to be able to translate that principle stack as correctly as possible in a day-to-day application of investing. So what I'm saying is that we could have the right principle stack but still make mistakes. And in order to avoid mistakes, we have increased our precision, and the mission statement has more precision. It is fundamentally new concepts and engineering methods with large impact, and a little extension of that is there has to be full vertical integration at the critical parts of the value chain, because that's the only way you can drive down costs and increase value at the same time, which is fundamentally the end game, and that's how you have large impact in wealth generation. Thank you.